Hey everybody, it's me, Maria. I just wanted to spend a little bit of time going over the 2-week clean eating challenge guide. What I'm really hoping to do here is go through step by step in order to give you a better idea of what the challenge group is going to consist of. I'm going to go through the packet. I'm going to try to do it as efficiently as possible so that you don't find a 45-minute video. So let's get started. Really, the idea of this challenge group is to give you an idea of how to portion your food appropriately and throughout the day. It's for sustainable weight loss over time. So within this 2-week period, you may not necessarily lose 15, 20, 30 pounds, but if you continue to eat this way consistently, you're going to see continued weight loss, especially if you're somebody who already works out or is starting to add workouts into your routine. So let's get started. 80% of how we look is what we put in our mouths. Some people say 70%. I'm going to say 80% here. 80% what we eat, 10% our workouts, 10% genetics. Some people can eat crap all day, every day, and they still look great. We don't like those people. It is what it is. We're not those people. I'm not those people anyway. So I'm going to ask you during this time period to refrain from alcohol. It's not to say that if you have a drink here or a drink there, it's going to completely derail you and you're going to give up altogether and throw your hands in the air. I'm just saying that over a 2-week period, if you can't refrain from alcohol, then that's something else that you need to deal with. It's no judgment. It just shouldn't be that hard to not drink for 2 weeks, or at least not drink excessively. Maybe a drink one night a week or something to help you relax. Everybody has their vice, myself included. There are calories in alcohol. It is sugar, no matter how you look at it. So refraining from alcohol for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, if you continue this, as I hope that you do, will help you with that. This plan is based on a 15 to 1800 caloric intake. Now, this is for someone who is somewhat active. So if you find yourself being somebody who trains or you're excessively active, you're going to want to be on the 1800 range, okay? You're going to want to bump your calories. If you're not seeing any weight loss, it's because you're not eating enough. If you're not seeing weight loss and you're inactive, it's because you're probably overeating, mostly in the carb area. Your foods are going to be arranged into macronutrient groups. So your veggies, your fruits, your proteins, your carbohydrates, healthy fats, seasoned dressings, which I give you dressing recipes to make from scratch. That's not to say you can't buy them, but if you're going to, make sure you buy something that doesn't have sugar in it, and hopefully that's organic. I'll get to the organic, natural thing in a minute. Oils and nut butters, and free foods. Free foods mostly being seasonings, pepper, parsley, dried herbs, things like that. Salt is an entirely different thing. Although it's a seasoning, you want to make sure you limit it because you only want a certain amount of sodium and it creates water retention. You will be eating 5 meals a day on this plan, so plan on eating regularly. If you're someone who does not eat 5 times a day, then you need to start doing that. That is your biggest issue with weight loss. It's what I find with most people. They either bulk at the beginning of the day, or they bulk at the end of the day, or they eat 3 meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, but they don't eat in between there. Your body is a machine. It needs to be fed constantly, every 2 to 3 hours. If you don't feed it, it stops burning, it holds on to fat, it stores that fat, and it treats it like you're in starvation mode. It doesn't know when you're going to eat again, so it decides, okay, we may not eat for another 6 hours, so we need to make sure we hold on to this fat just in case we need to burn glucose. So the idea being that if you're eating breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, then your body is constantly trying to burn that fat that's in your body. In order to see weight loss, I always suggest to clients that you eat your carbs before 6 p.m. so that you have time to burn them off, and try not to eat for about 3 hours prior to going to bed. This can be hard for some people depending on your lifestyle, if you work nights, etc. But that's where you're going to see the most improvement, is if you scale back your carbs after 6 and don't eat 3 hours prior to going to bed. That being said, I gave you a sample meal plan on there that was just to show you how things are going to be set up. This is really designed for ease of prep and eating. So when you look throughout the week that I gave you here, further into the packet, you'll see that you reuse stuff that we make. You reuse Greek yogurts and half a banana and your chilies and your egg cups. These are things that people who are successful with prep and weight loss, they tend to eat similar items frequently, because if you don't want to be spending a ridiculous amount of food, you really need to make sure that you're utilizing everything that you buy when you go grocery shopping. So it does you no good to go and pack your fridge with healthy food and then a week and a half later go through your fridge and throw everything out. If you're not using it, then what's the point of it? It does no good to eat healthy for 2 days, eat crap for 2 days, eat healthy for 2 days, throw all your healthy food away and start all over again, okay? The great thing about this meal plan, and I am going to reference 21 Day Fix here because I took a lot of information from a lot of Beachbody products, is that you can substitute any macronutrient for any other thing on the list. It'll be a little harder to do with things that I give you recipes for, egg cups, chili, lettuce wraps, things like that, because they're already portioned in such a way that it tracks your macronutrient, like has one protein, half a carb, half a veggie. But when it comes to Greek yogurt, cottage cheeses, things like that, all you have to do is look at your list and then substitute something that you don't particularly like. If you don't eat bananas, then eat an apple. If you don't like apples, then eat pear. If you don't like pears, then eat grapes. But it's always going to come down to your portion sizes. If you find that you're somebody that has a lengthy day or you need more food throughout, then spread your meals out over 6 meals. That's a choice you have to make. If you're someone who doesn't eat a lot of times a day, going from eating once, twice, 3 times a day to going 5 times a day is going to seem like a lot of food, a lot of eating. If you're someone who already eats 3, 4, 5 times a day, it might be a little bit easier for you. Let's see here. The first thing you're going to want to do is go through your cabinets. Take out anything that you know you can't eat. If it's not already on a list that I gave you, then it's not going to make its way into your diet. If you live with other people, then you have to really think about what kind of self-control that you have. If you're somebody who has good self-control and you know that you can go without eating it, great. If you're somebody who doesn't, then you need to clean out your cabinets. That'll be the first step, is getting rid of anything that you don't need. At the same time, as you're doing that, look at the list that I gave you and decide what you already have for herbs, spices, quinoa, wild rices, things that you keep in your dry storage that can still be used for this meal plan. There's no need to buy anything twice, but be aware that the less crap that you keep in your house, the less trouble you're going to have when it comes to breezing by those things and not feeling like, ooh, I want a little snack, ooh, I want to eat this. Well, if you don't have it in your house, you're never going to see it, you're never going to have that desire. So, likewise, decide what you like and what you don't like. So you need to look over the list that I gave you, and you need to decide what on your vegetables, what on your proteins, what on your fruits that you really like, okay? So you'll see here on mine, I went through and highlighted everything that I like for my veggies that are my favorites. Same with my fruits. I went through and highlighted everything that I like. So those are the things that typically make it into my prepped plan. I'm not gonna eat something I dislike. Perfect example, artichokes, don't like them, they're too much work, I'm never gonna eat them. Why am I gonna put them in my diet? You have to decide what works for you. Now in the meal plan I gave you, I try to be pretty considerate about what people tend to like and what they don't like. Ground turkey, chicken, anything that's lean proteins, most people will eat. Fish, same thing, although I didn't put much, if any, fish on your meal plan. So that's going to be the first few steps you want to take. Decide what you like and don't like. Clean out your cabinets and then go grocery shopping. Have your list. I basically went through and made it very simple as far as what you need to buy and what you don't need to buy. Now, when we're talking about our portion sizes, our veggies are always going to be 1 cup. When it comes to having your cups ready, you want to make sure you have this before we even start prepping food. So, for me personally, I keep a Pampered Chef measuring cup. So this one goes from 1 cup, 3/4 of a cup, half a cup, all the way up to a 1/4 cup. So it moves. So depending on what I'm portioning, I can decide how much I need. So for our vegetables, we're going to be eating our veggies 4 times a day and 4 cups. Now, the easiest way to execute this for most people is salads. If you're eating a veggie at every meal, most people don't get to it, especially because they don't love vegetables or they don't find their way into our diet regularly. People who eat protein will have a great time. They can eat protein all day, but you still need vegetables. That's just the way it is. So our vegetables are going to be 1 full cup. So one of these 4 times a day, and you need to make sure you're getting that in. You'll notice in the meal plan that I pretty much went through and made sure that your salads hit 3 veggies out of the way almost every single time. So it's typically 1 cup of mixed veggies, whether it's peppers, mushrooms, whatever it is you like, your toppings, your onions, your cucumbers, whatever it may be, and then from there, 2 cups of whatever mixed lettuce you're using, whether it's baby spinach, mixed greens, iceberg lettuce, all that. Do 2 cups, because really 1 cup is not a lot of greens. That'll be the easiest way to knock your veggies right out of the way, okay? Fruits, same thing, 1 cup. The thing with the fruits though is we want to make sure we're only eating these 3 times a day. So this can be in any form. It can be all your raspberries in a morning shake. It can be you feel like just eating them on the side. Now, I give you a particular plan, but if there's something you substitute out, you need to reference this list and make sure that if it's something like a banana or an orange or a peach, that the cup goes out of the window and you eat the size that it says here. So for example, a peach, if I decide to do that, is actually, you can either slice it and measure it as 1 cup, or you eat 1 large peach. Same thing with an apple. You either want to slice it and measure it in here, or you want to have 1 small apple, okay? Not a huge, giant apple. The next thing we're going to talk about is our proteins. So our proteins, like our veggies, are going to be in our diet 4 times a day. Now, the appropriate size for our protein portioning is going to be 3/4 of a cup, okay? So 3/4 of a cup is after it's cooked. So if you're eating ground turkey, ground bison, ground red meat, lean red meat, you're going to want to make sure that your 3/4 of a cup, so an example in mine is from here to here, that your 3/4 of a cup is your ground cooked turkey. Now, I give you recipes, the chili, the beef, stew, that it's going to be portioned out for you. Every protein runs around 4 ounces as far as its portion size. So if you're looking away from the cup for a second and we're talking about ounces, we're talking about a 4-ounce portion of lean protein. That being said, when you look over your recipe for the chili, when you look over your recipe for the beef stew, you're always going to see that those recipes call for 1.5 pounds of something. That is because a pound is 16 ounces. Half a pound is 8 ounces. Half of that is 4 ounces. So in a pound, you're going to get 4 serving of 4-ounce portions. So if you want to have enough to make sure you have 6 portions of something, it's always going to be 1.5 pounds. So to rerun on that, if a pound is 16 ounces and we add another 1/2 pound, right, that's going to give us 6 portion sizes. Always think of your portion control when it comes to your proteins as either 3/4 of a cup or 4 ounces of lean protein, okay? Likewise with this, I went through, highlighted everything that I like. Hopefully everything that I put in your diet or in your meal plan is something you like. If it's not, you let me know and we'll figure out a way to move around it. The beef stew is a perfect example of that. If you're someone who doesn't particularly like red meat, you can always substitute chicken and chicken broth. So there's ways to modify what you're eating if something on there isn't particularly something you're particularly fond of, okay? Carbohydrates, and I do want to spend just a minute on carbs. You need to look over the carbohydrate list really well. 2 things people fail at almost all the time is they overeat carbs in a day. Always overeat carbs in a day. When you look at what a 1/2 cup portioning of carbs is, it's from here up, okay? Or I brought this cup to make it a little more visual. So this is a 1/2 cup right here. Most people, when they eat quinoa, wild rice, sweet potato, oatmeal, no matter what they eat, they're always eating way more than this. I guarantee you when you eat dinner, you probably eat about this, which is 3/4 of a cup, okay? So you need to make sure that you're aware of the carbohydrate intake, because this is where your weight loss is going to happen. It's being certain that you're getting no more than a half a cup every time you have a serving. This includes cooked oatmeal, okay? So you want to make sure that you're measuring your oatmeal after it's cooked, your rice after it's cooked, because those things expand when they're cooked. I did put steel cut oats on your shopping list. A word to the wise, steel cut oats are better cooked on the stove, okay? So like everything, one of the advices I give you is make sure that you're prepping in advance. If you're gonna cook it once, why cook it twice? If you're gonna eat it in 3 days, cook 2 portions, okay? Even bread, which most people think, well, I use a whole grain, or I use a 12 grain, or I use a multigrain, whatever your particular brand may be. 1 slice is a portion size, not 2 slices. So that's something to be very, very aware of. Carbs are always going to be what people overeat. It's because it's what's in the American diet, and we're so used to large portion sizes. So if you find yourself dining out, which the reality is most of us end up out in a situation, usually because we're meeting friends or family or whatever it may be, it doesn't mean you can't eat brown rice if they have it, or even potatoes if they have it and it's not made with butter. But it's portion sizing, making sure you're not overeating the amount that you should be, okay? Healthy fats. Healthy fats are going to be 1/4 cup. Your healthy fats, really, the only thing I put on your meal plan was avocados, raw nuts, and hummus. You'll notice that I also list almond milk as a carbohydrate. That is because it's derived from a nut, although it's a liquid. I didn't put anything on there outside of avocado, raw nuts, and hummus. You will see on your list coconut milk, feta cheese, goat cheese, mozzarella, cheddar, parmesan. That's not to say you can't have it if you want to deduct your healthy fats from, say, a nut that I put on your meal plan. I try to avoid dairy in the diet in general for different reasons, some personal preference, but because dairy is not necessarily a healthy fat. That's not to say that it's bad for you, but you want to make sure that you're not overeating dairy. The human body, long story short, is really not used to actually breaking dairy down, and it creates a lot of bloat too, typically. So if you're somebody who wants to get rid of that extra bloat in your body, avoiding dairy will really help with that. Now, your healthy fats are 1/4 cup. So let's talk about that for a second, okay? This is kind of depressing, I know. Your 1/4 cup, I'm going to use this for example right now, is this lower part right here, okay? So it's really not that much. If you decide to have avocado in your diet, it's really only 1/4 of an avocado. A lot of people have a tendency to eat a whole avocado, half an avocado. Healthy fats are still healthy fats, okay? It doesn't matter whether they're avocados or dairy, they are still fat, period. So we're only going to have one of these a day, which for some people is going to be a lot, because some people really do like cheese, or they eat hummus and they end up eating large portion sizes of hummus. I do recommend in here that you buy your hummus pre-portioned. They sell like 2-ounce portions now. It'll keep you from overeating and munching when you really shouldn't be. And then you have your seasoned dressings. Now I give you a list of dressings that you make on your own. I'm always going to push you in that direction because you know what's in everything. That doesn't mean you have to go that direction. You can always pick something out. I can't see the label. You're more than welcome to take a picture and send it to me. And I can tell you what I think about what's on the label. That's a preference. If you can make them, or you're someone who can go with oil and vinegar, God bless you, do that, okay? Your seasoned dressings are going to be 1/8 cup, and they're going to be once a day. So if you're going to have a salad, reserve your seeds and dressings for your salad. That's what you're going to want to focus on there, okay? 1/8 cup can also be seen as 2. So this, for example, is a tablespoon. 1/8 cup is also 2 tablespoons. So when we're talking about chopped nuts, raw seeds, flaxseed, homemade dressings, it's going to be this whole part right here, okay? If you have an 1/8 cup measuring cup or a 1/4 cup that you cut in half, perfect. It doesn't really matter. So say that you want to add something in your diet somewhere, and you're only going to use, let's say, maybe half of that for your dressing, because you're really not going to put a lot on your salad, or you can eat your salad dry, then you can always use the other half of it for something else. Your chopped nuts on top of your yogurt, whatever that may be. You can always split it somewhere in the day if you want to add it to another meal that's there. And then you have your oil and nut butters. I always suggest extra virgin olive oil, extra virgin coconut oil. That doesn't mean that you can't use another oil. Those just tend to be the healthiest fats. And your nut butters are everything from peanut to almond to cashew. Now, when it comes to nut butters, almond, cashew butter, things like that are always a little bit higher on the list than peanut butter is, but I find that people are used to peanut butter in their diet, which is why I put it on yours. If you're someone who likes almond butter or cashew butter, by all means, buy that instead. Peanuts actually are not a nut. They are a legume. They're a bean. So there's always that debate about whether or not peanuts are even really considered a nut butter, which is why I tell people that, pick almond butter if you're going to. It's not that peanut butter is bad. It's just different. It's not a nut, but your body treats it like a nut. Peanut butter is good for you, but it's not the best if you're looking hierarchically, okay? And then you have your free foods. Lemon, lime juice, vinegars, mustards, herbs, spices, garlic, your flavor extracts, and that means natural, pure flavors, okay? Vanilla, peppermint, anything, just not imitations. And then your homemade seasoning mixes, which I also include in there. So, your homemade seasoning mixes, look over those herbs. On your shopping list, I did not put everything on there on your shopping list because you may not necessarily like the all-purpose seasoning or a Southwest seasoning or a Mediterranean seasoning. You may not find yourself using that. So look through your cabinets when you're cleaning everything out and really see what you already have in there, okay? Just like I did with all the other food that I have, I made sure I highlighted the seasonings that I like. That's going to be preference. So you're going to need to buy some of these if you want to be able to season your foods that way. Now, I have you pick up a roast chicken so that you can pull it apart and use that chicken. It just saves prep time. That's me personally. Some people ask, well, what if it's made in oil? What if it's rubbed in butter? What if this? What if that? I want you to take that out of your mind and think, this is something I'm trying to do to change. If you want to roast your own chicken, God bless you. If you want to buy chicken breast instead of a roast chicken, more power to you. But most people who need to make a lifestyle change, it's going to be the choice of going from bad proteins to good proteins. And right now, you're going to take the skin off anyway. You're going to peel all the skin off and you're going to just use the meat. So if it's easier for you to buy a pre-roasted chicken, by all means, please do that. When it comes to your dressing, same thing like I did with everything else. I highlighted what I like for my dressing. So this is another thing that you're going to have to look over, look at your grocery list and decide, what do I have, what do I don't? What dressing do I like, what dressings do I not? Make sure you buy the herbs, the citrus, the seasonings that you need for those things, okay? And then there's a shopping list. So as you look over the shopping list, I want you to make sure that you are picking out things you like. So you'll notice on here, I try to pick things that are a little bit higher up on the list because they're a little bit better for you. But I'm a banana eater. Some people don't like the texture. Some people are allergic to strawberries, blueberries, whatever that may be. So you want to make sure that you're looking over this, and if you see something that you don't like, yellow onions, baby carrots, bell peppers that are red and you prefer green or whatnot, that's where your substitution is going to come. It's going to be your preference over my preference, okay? Now, some of these are part of a recipe, the red peppers, the jalapenos, things like that. But it doesn't mean that you can't substitute it out for something that you enjoy more, okay? A vegetable is a vegetable is a vegetable, is a fruit is a fruit is a fruit, is what I'm going to say. The better they are for you, the better they are in your diet. But I'm not going to tell you you can't eat this over that as long as you're staying on the list that's provided, okay? If you don't like eggs, this may be a little bit hard prep-wise for you. However, it's not impossible. It's just going to be a little bit harder. You're going to have to look at your substitutions. If you don't like eggs, maybe you want cottage cheese or Greek yogurt, or you want to do a morning smoothie with Greek yogurt, almond milk, and fruit. Okay, it just needs to be your preference over my preference, although it'll be a lot easier for you if you stick to what I put on here. Making sure all your ground meat as well is 93% fat-free, okay, or more. Likewise with the Greek yogurt, 1% is fine. Some people think fat-free, and that's fine if you want to go that route. I will say with plain Greek yogurt that it tends to be pretty tart. So I'm going to talk about sweetener really quickly here. I use stevia in the raw. It doesn't spike your glucose the way that regular sugar does, even if you're using like an all-natural honey or maple syrup, and those are great options, but it's the way that your body breaks down stevia. It doesn't have the glycemic bump that sugar creates in your body. So that's what I use to sweeten things. Like if you're trying to make like a little peanut butter dip, which I do have on here at one point, a teaspoon of peanut butter with a stevia packet with Greek yogurt is going to take that really, really tart flavor that you find with Greek yogurt out. A lot of people are used to eating Greek yogurt with fruit mixed in already, which has a ton of sugar, a ton of sugar. It's not that it's necessarily bad for you overall, it's just that it's not the best option. And if you're really trying to clean your body out and really trying to clean your diet up, then you're going to want to make sure that you steer away from that, okay? Make sure you look over your on your shopping list as well. I do state it in here, but the things like your dry seasoning rubs and your dressings, like I stated earlier, make sure that you're picking out things that you like and you have those ingredients on hand when you get home to make them, okay? So down to the meal plans, and I'm going to try to wrap this up just so that it doesn't get ridiculously long. I want you to look over them. I want you to print them out. And I want you to highlight things that you know are fine, that you know are going to make it in your diet A-okay. They're going to be perfect. They're going to be great. I love this. I love chili. I love my banana with peanut butter. I love my toast with peanut butter. I like my chopped almonds on my yogurt. Things that are going to be easy for you. Pick one color. You still have highlighters. If you have kids, I guarantee you do. If you don't, look for one in your house. 2 different colors. And then I want you to go through and I want you to highlight things that are going to be difficult to make in your diet, okay? That you know you can't eat. Some people, it's funny, bananas, texturally, a lot of people dislike. Some people dislike, ground turkey or the texture, the taste. Well, you need to know beforehand what things you're going to need to substitute out so that you can look at your shopping list and say, okay, I don't like this, what can I substitute instead? Or I don't like this, I need to make sure that I post this on the Challenge Group Facebook page and ask her, what should I do instead? How can I get my protein in? Now, I'm making this as easy as I can for you so that your prep is ahead of time and the rest of the week you have almost everything made so that you don't have to really worry about it. But I'm somebody who I can eat a turkey patty with broccoli, fish with asparagus. I'm not somebody that necessarily needs whole meals. So if you're having the type of day that, I just don't have time to prep or I just don't know what I'm going to substitute instead, as long as you're somebody who's okay with eating 4 ounces of a protein and a cup of your veggies, well, bam, you knocked out exactly what we were trying to accomplish. Say you have 2 egg cups, that's your serving for the day is 2 egg cups. Well, that's great. If you don't like eggs, then we need to figure out what's going to work for you, whether it's an egg white scramble with mixed veggies in it. There's always a substitution, and there is always a way to make sure that we get what you like to eat into your diet. This isn't supposed to be torture. The word diet is like the worst thing that ever happened because it's about making sure we're eating everything we should. Our body is a machine, just like you don't run your car down and not change the oil for 70,000 miles, although I've certainly done that. You want to make sure that same thing with your body is that you're putting into it what it needs to burn efficiently, okay? So I need you to look over this and really decide throughout the week what works for you and what doesn't work for you so that we can really talk about it online and see, because the same questions you're having, the frustrations or the things you're confused about, I guarantee you there are other people out there who are just as confused, okay? So I don't want you to be bashful about saying, hey, I don't really understand this recipe, or hey, I don't really know what this product is, or I don't really like this, what is the solution to this? Because it can be pretty simple even with what's already in your fridge. It doesn't mean you're necessarily going to have to go out and have a whole separate shopping list. It's just finding out what works best for you. So then we get to the food prep. I literally go through day by day, meal by meal, how to prep your food. So some things are going to be, pre-prepped, have 6 portions, and you're going to save them. And right under every single thing, I put a note, and I say, you're gonna want to do this. You're gonna want to prep it, you're gonna want to portion it, and then you're gonna want to freeze it because we're gonna use it next week. Or you're gonna want to prep it, you're gonna want to portion it. Okay, we're gonna use it again in 2 days. So make sure that part of your life is easy. Make sure you're reading these little notes. I know it's a lot of information, and honestly, it took me a little bit of time to put it together because of that. I wanted to make sure that everybody had every little bit of information and recipe they needed to be able to make it through these 2 weeks. Okay, now right here is only 1 week. Because I want to get you through the first week to see what works for you and what doesn't work for you, okay? Everybody's going to be different. So once we really start to nail down what it is that works for you, we can sort of say, okay, maybe this recipe didn't work. Let's talk about what does work for you, okay? That being said, your job up until we start, which prep day will be Sunday, okay? If we're going to start on Monday, prep day is going to be Sunday, and I'm going to check in with everybody this weekend anyway. I just want to talk about successfully portioning things when you're gonna freeze them and stuff like that. So I do personal chef work for people anyway, so I keep a ton of Tupperware in my house. But that's something you're gonna want to make sure that you have. So I like these size containers. I keep a ton of these in my house. These are great if I'm gonna double up portion, or if I need to put, let's say like my protein on one side and my veggies on another. I also really like this size. This is great for fruits and stuff like that. They're a little big. Finding finding 1 cup portion sizes are pretty difficult, believe it or not, Tupperware wise. And then I typically use these for my salads. When you're building your salads, and this is a video I'll post later, but you can find it on Pinterest. When you're building salads, you always want to build from the bottom up with your lettuce on the top, okay? So your hard veggies, your soft veggies, your protein, your nuts, whatever else is on there, fruits, and then your greens on top. When we prep salads, it doesn't have to be every day in prepping. You put 3 of these out in front of you. You put whatever your hard veggies are, whatever your soft veggies and fruits are, your protein, your greens. Boom, 3 salads knocked out, 15 minutes. You know what I mean? A lot of the issues people have is that they're cutting their salad every day. They're cleaning their fruit every day. If you portion food the right way, you don't have to do that. It will stay fresh for a longer amount of time. It's all about how you place it in the container. The last thing that I do keep on hand as well, and I buy these, but if you work in the restaurant industry, and I'm not going to encourage you to be a thief, but I am going to say I've certainly taken my fair share, then you might want to buy little ramekins. These are great for peanut butters, for seeds, dressings, and your whole nuts. Because you're only eating, let's say, 12 cashews or 8 almonds or whatever it is, or 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. If you're traveling, like most of us are, we're going to have to bring our food, then you're going to want to have this to portion your peanut butter out in, okay? I would suggest buying them, I think, for like literally $3.50. You can get like 150 of them or something like that. The last thing I will say is making sure that you have a cooler, okay, of every different size. I have ones that are this big, I have ones that are this big, I have ones that are this big. It's all going to depend on what you do in a day. So if you're somebody who's really busy and you're going to work and you know you're going to have, 4 out of your 5 meals prepped, planned, and ready to eat, then you need to make sure that you have a cooler, that you have ice packs, that you have everything you need in order to carry that with you, okay? People who are successful with weight loss and continued healthy eating are people who are prepared and planned. They're not the people who open their fridge and go, oh, I'll eat this. Open their cabinet and go, oh, I'll eat that. They're people who know what they're eating every single day, okay? I want to end that here just because it's getting to be a little bit lengthy and I don't want you guys to have to watch a 50-minute video. But if you have questions, here is a place to let me know, okay? And I'll get into a little more detail tomorrow too. I'm going to try to start my prep videos tomorrow so I can sort of post some stuff about prepping. But if you guys have questions, feel free to ask, okay? You can always text me. My number is 978-987-3053. Hit me up here. I prefer you do that because if you have a question, someone else probably does too. But I really hope this is going to help everybody be successful and we're going to be able to find what works for you in your life, in your lifestyle. So I hope you guys have a great day and I hope you learned everything you needed to and let me know what you need help with, okay? I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.